So we're going to be talking about exponential graphs where it has a form of f of x equals a to the x power. Your a cannot be 1 since if it is 1, it's going to be a horizontal line. It's not going to grow exponentially or decrease exponentially. So first we're going to talk about the y-intercept for any parent graph equation without translation. The parent graph will always be at 0, 1. Because a to the 0 power always equals 1. Plus, there will always be no x-intercept, because no exponent of a will result a 0, except for, again, with translations. But we're only talking about parent graphs right now. So if we talk about the parent graph a to the x power, so draw a little sketch here. It goes through 0, 1. And it's an increasing graph. It goes like that. We could say that as x approaches infinity, your f of x approaches infinity. As x approaches negative infinity, your f of x is going to approach 0. So that means it has a horizontal asymptote at y equals 0. And it's an increasing function because it gets bigger and bigger as your x's get bigger and bigger. The other way around is if you have a reflection across the y-axis. So remember, if there's a negative in front of the exponent, it's a reflection on the y. If the negative is directly in front of the a, it's a reflection on the x. So for this graph, again, it crosses at 0, 1. But this time, if it's reflected across the y-axis, you're going to spin it on the y-axis, and it looks like that. So this time, now, as your x's get bigger and bigger, your y values now go to 0. In reverse, as your x's get smaller and smaller, your f of x gets bigger and bigger to infinity. So this has a horizontal asymptote still of y equals 0 because it doesn't pass the 0 line. And this time, this is a decreasing function. Now, the next page is the one with the reflection on the x-axis. Okay. So if you took your parent graph and you reflected on the y-axis, this time everything is going to be now on the 0, negative 1, and it'll look like this. So as x gets bigger and bigger, your f of x goes to negative infinity. As x goes to negative infinity, your f of x goes to 0. Has the same horizontal asymptote, and this is now a decreasing function. Remember, all parent graphs are always positive. The negative tells you reflection. The next note is if you have a fraction raised to a power, you want to make sure that you rewrite it so it's just a to the x power, so it's really a to the negative x. So this now becomes a decreasing function since the y values get smaller as x gets bigger. Then last, we're going to talk about the transformations. So remember, if the negative is in front of the a, it's a reflection on the x-axis. So it changes the y values by negative 1. If the negative is on the exponent, it's a reflection on the y-axis, so this changes your x values by negative 1. The k-value affects the horizontal asymptotes since it goes up or down. So if originally it was at y equals 0, if it shifted 5 units up, the new asymptote would be at y equals